I will call the meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll have roll call, please.
Councilmember Waller?
Yes.
Saldi?
Yes.
Culliton? Yes. Miller? Mayor Healy?
Yes. Citizens' comments. If you're not already on the agenda, you may approach the council at this time. Okay, we have no public hearing tonight. We have reading and approval of minutes from February 12th.
I will move approval of the February 12th regular meeting minutes.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. We have the condensed version of the minutes.
I'll move to approve the condensed version of the February 12th minutes.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. I will move approval of the consent agenda, which consists of audits of city bills and the gambling reports from the Morris Hockey.
I'll second.
Any discussion or questions on any of the items? Okay. All in favor of the consent agenda, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. We have no petitions, requests, and communications. We have ordinances and resolutions. We have resolution approving an extension of an easement and use agreement for the Denko 2 project.
So I tried to explain it in the memo. We had two grants actually that we got from the state of Minnesota, and I won't go into details as to why we got them for the ethanol plant, but basically the city got grants to obtain equipment that the city owns that got put into the ethanol plant, and as part of the requirements of having that equipment in the ethanol plant, we had to have a couple different things. One was an easement to have the equipment in their plant, and then the other was a use agreement that they would actually be the ones using the equipment. They'd be maintaining the equipment for us for a period of time, and at the end of that period of time, then the equipment winds up being theirs. It was a very interesting set of grants that I was surprised that we actually did it, but again, it goes back to some things that happened with the state of Minnesota and ethanol credits that the plant should have got, didn't get, so then they worked out some grants that they got. So all this is an extension of that agreement that Denko, and actually Mick just came in, if you have any questions. The equipment's in Denko's facility, they're using it, they're maintaining it for us. Actually, we just had the representatives from DEED came out to audit the grant, and everything turned out okay with the audit of the grant, and then they actually went out to the plant and inspected the equipment that's in the plant, and then they signed off on it, so everything's done with it. So this is simply an extension of that easement and use agreement for that equipment. It's a very unique situation. One of the grants was actually typically a grant, you'll have a state amount, and then you have a local share of that. One grant, the local share was provided by Denko. The other grant, the local share was actually provided by the state. So there's two state agencies that offset each other, but that's the way they set it up to make sure that the money went to the equipment that was going into the ethanol plant.
So the grant was for the city to buy the equipment to put into the...
Yeah, because the state doesn't give grants to local businesses. They give grants to government agencies and entities. So one was from DEED, and that's actually the one that just got audited was from DEED. They came out and audited it. the other one was from MPCA, actually, that they offset. And one dealt with reducing the amount of water that was used in the plant, and the other one dealt with reducing the amount of energy that was used in the plant. And both those things wound up happening. Actually, Denco 2 wound up putting more money into the plant than what was actually originally part of the grant agreement. So they put a lot of money into the plant, and everything worked out the way they wanted it to work out.
I think it's been a good partnership so far. One of the things I wanted to ask you, Blaine, at the end of the useful life period, did we define what the useful life period was?
I think was it 12 and a half years?
Yeah, so the state requires 125% of the useful life through the lease, and the useful life on our books is 10 years, so that's how we came up with 12 and a half years. And then there's just we'll have to actually do this again in 5 years, and then we'll have another 2.5 years, and then the equipment will just transfer onto our books.
Okay.
Is it because we could only do it at 5-year increments? Is that why we're doing it again and not the full?
It's just per the requirements of the state on how these lease use agreements work.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, ideally we would have just
Right.
did it for the life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right.
Does it have to be audited again then by deed and MPCA?
Nope, it's done.
One-time thing?
It's all done. Actually, they never got to the audit. It was like 2 years ago, but they were shorthanded and they never actually got to the audit until now. So they had to kind of go back. There's a new person that was part of it that had to kind of learn what happened, which is always kind of a dangerous situation to be in when somebody new comes in and has no idea what happened. But it turned out really well. The guy that was the lead guy in it, was really easy to work with. So that was kind of nice.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that we can work with the local businesses and do it this way. I think we've done it for other businesses in the town too. So I'd like to move on a resolution approving an extension of an easement and use agreement for the Denco 2 project.
I'll second that.
Okay, Mick, do you have anything else you'd like to say, or?
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Glad to be in a community like this that's able to step up and help us out. So appreciate it.
Great. Thank you for being here. Any further discussion? We will have roll call vote on the resolution, please.
Councilmember Salvi?
Yes.
Waller?
Yes.
Miller? Tillotson?
Yes.
Mayor Dees?
Yes. Okay, we have a resolution adopting a strategic plan and setting sustainability goals for the city of Morris.
So you have a number of things in this packet. The memo kind of explaining exactly what we're doing here, and then the resolution adopting the strategic plan and setting the sustainability goals. And I actually broke it down by the way we talked about it the last time we met with the Morris model. There's some overall big goals, 3 of them. You can see them in there. I think everybody except maybe Marcus and Junior probably don't know this information already, or maybe Deb and Reggie. But the 3 big goals are there, and then from there we go down to the community overall goals and energy, transportation, waste reduction, and the education. And then we finally get to the city goals in energy, transportation, waste, and education. So you have a copy of the strategic plan there. I know when we met the last time with the Morris model, there's a little bit of discussion about how this ties in with projects and things like that. We did put at the end of this the project list for those projects that are city projects on this list. And as I said in my memo, just simply setting goals so it doesn't lock us into anything that we're doing. And in some cases, new things are going to come up that we're going to, actually we had a really good discussion at Denco 2 yesterday on lime sludge and lime waste line that comes off of the new water treatment plant. What's going to happen to it, one of our goals is to not bury things in the ground moving forward. So that gives us a little bit of impetus to start looking at different ways that that byproduct can be used in something else like farming or ag. There's all kinds of different things. We might even look at a couple test projects to try to figure out what to do with it. But this simply sets up the overriding things that we want to look at as to try to reduce those 4 major areas, and it gives us not necessarily the authority to do anything, but it gives us a reason to look at things. So I think it's a good deal. One of the things that I brought here was our Chevy Bolt that's sitting out in front of the council chambers here. That was one of the things that we talked about before. That's an electric hybrid vehicle, and it's our first step into taking away the fossil fuels from what we're using. There's a bunch of people there that have a lot of information if you have any questions that are part of the Morris Model team. So I'll throw it back to you.
Well, this has been a work in progress. You know, I again want to thank all this group for all your help and giving us some direction, pointing us in the right way. I think it's a great start. You don't have a goal and you don't start, nothing gets done.
Right. Yeah, I too would like to thank all the members of the Morris Model and working with us and Blaine. I think the part of the education, the second one, lead by example. This is a really, really good step for the city of Morris to leading by example. The Volt sitting outside, just doing this, and pretty much whenever we do something within the city, we need to think about, okay, how does that fit in? Does it apply? If it applies, how do we do it so that we can be sustainable? How do we do it so that we can be energy savings?
I think we briefly talked about Blaine possibly having a work session to tie in, and prioritize some of these projects and how they can tie into these goals. Because we got 100 different projects, and you need to just pick a few and pick a goal. And
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely.
That's probably the next step.
That's probably the next step, is to
Yeah.
sit down and start talking about what we're going to do.
So we can work out a date and get together again. Have some more pizza.
Have some more pizza. Unfortunately, the students keep graduating. So we have them, and then they leave us, but then new ones come in, and there's some good new students coming into the process. And
Well, I would like to see at least one more meeting before graduation.
I think
That'd be great. Good.
I know I've talked a little bit about wanting to move forward with different projects and sustainability, whether it's solar, wind, or something. I think this leads right into what we want to do, and I do appreciate everything you guys are doing. It's awesome that you guys are doing it, that we're doing the whole model, so I think it just works out perfectly for what we should do. So I would move on the resolution adopting a strategic plan and setting sustainability goals for the city of Morris.
Any further discussion? We'll have roll call vote on the resolution, please.
Councilmember Miller, Phillipson,
Yes.
Waller,
yes.
Salvi,
Yes.
Mayor Gies.
Yes.
awesome.
Thank you all.
Thanks again, guys.
Thanks to everybody.
Okay. And we have to improve our streets. Now we have a resolution authorizing advertising for bids for the 2019 street improvement projects, reclaims.
So you can see the list of them that we're actually going to be doing. One of them is actually a state aid road project from East 7th Street from Oregon Avenue to Line Drive. So that'll be funded by state aid funds. Otherwise, the rest of it will come out of our franchise funds. You see the estimated cost of the projects. We're looking at having a bid opening on Thursday, March 28th at 10 o'clock, and then we'll bring that information back to the city council the first meeting in April.
Cool.
I think this is great. I mean, that's what we're working towards every year to do some more improvements along the way, and we're using the funds that I think was set up for. I think it's great. I think some of the roads that we've done over this time have really made some big improvements.
Yeah, right.
Very good.
That stretch from East Fifth up to College Avenue, it's a good project right there.
Yeah, it's getting pretty bad.
Yeah.
I'm gonna use another one.
Okay, I will move approval of the resolution authorizing advertising for bids.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? We'll have roll call vote on the resolution, please.
Councilmember Dillison.
Yes.
Miller. Salvi.
Yes.
Wallers.
Yes.
Mayor Deep.
Yes. And finally, we have a resolution adopting assessment for current services.
A little housekeeping. We do these from just about every meeting, actually.
I will move on the resolution adopting assessments for current services.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion or any discussion? We'll have roll call vote on the resolution, please.
Councilmember Wallers.
Yes.
Salvi.
Yes.
Dillison.
Yes.
Miller. Mayor Deep.
Yes. City managers report.
Touch on a couple of the things I mentioned, the Chevy Bolt. Actually, one of the things I didn't put in here is on Monday, Ryan Mogard and I are going to be going up to St. Cloud to tour their lime softening plant. And so we'll get a chance to see how it actually operates and what everybody does. And then one of the discussions that we're going to have is what they actually do with their lime, waste lime that comes off their plant. I think somebody comes and gets it for them, so we'll have a chance to talk about that. The legislature, the governor came out with his budget. It's a big one. There's lots of things in it. Actually, the House, the Senate, and the governor all are looking at putting local government aid back to the 2002 level, which is good. I think I mentioned it last time that it's about $60,000 a year for us that we'd see in addition to what we have right now. You know, so if it happens this year, then we could use some of that money. I would anticipate there's going to be some kind of funding that's probably going to come for roads. I know there's a lot of talk about fuel tax and putting money into roads and bridges and things like that. And it is possible that there might be more money that goes into state aid. Might be more money that comes to the city for doing road projects. So we're looking at that stuff really close. And actually today I heard, which was kind of interesting, I got a call from NPR because they wanted to find out about our water treatment plant. Because as we know, we're kind of the lead city in dealing with water treatment in this new format and funding and all that. And there's other cities that are struggling with it. And the reporter wanted to know what we do, but one of the things she said was in the governor's budget is grant money for replacing old water softeners. And I had no idea that was part of it, but if you have old water softeners, they use a lot more salt than new ones. And if you can't build a new water treatment plant, one of the ways you can reduce the salt is to make sure that old water softeners are replaced. And so that could be something that, you know, could be used here in town if somebody wanted to update an old water softener as opposed to not using it or getting rid of it. So you learn something new every day. We have an airport meeting right after, well, not right after this, at 7 o'clock. It's the first opportunity for the public to see the information about the master plan and the potential for a runway extension project. So Marcus and Junior will be here to provide that information, and we sent out invitations to all the property owners around the airport. We sent out invitations to members of the technical advisory committee and published it in the paper. So hopefully we get some people to turn out for that. And I'll answer any questions you might have about anything else. Snow is a big issue right now. As you heard, they're going to try to widen streets, but if you got any questions.
I don't think we have any questions on this other than, I was going to ask, I think we haven't talked about it here, but there's an awful profane smell that's coming from,
It's like Crystal.
is that what it is? Is it from there, or is it
When I
underneath?
talked to Ryan Mogard, he gave me the official diagnosis, I guess. It's got to be a biology major almost to figure it out, but it's basically, I think we deal with this every year. It just comes earlier this year because Lake Crystal's freezing out, and all that smell you're getting is the decomposition of the microorganisms in Lake Crystal, and it's just, it's producing.
Yeah, and the other part of it is normally the storm sewer system has venting, but pretty much all the venting is packed with snow. So if you go down on South Street, you'll see where they've been trying to open up the catch basins and the manholes wherever they can. We did have a major issue with the hospital and having problems within the building, but I think based on what I've heard is that they had a drain in the new construction, and I could be wrong, but that's what I heard. In the new construction that was actually plumbed into the storm sewer, because their roof drains are plumbed into the storm sewer, so they don't run on the ground, they run right directly into the storm sewer, and that brings the smell in from the backside. And so I think they got that taken care of. They got everything plugged up so nothing's backing into the building. But yeah, it's kind of nasty down around South Street. I've had calls from the bank. I've had other people talk about it. Actually, there's some discussion about it being the ethanol plant, but it's not the ethanol plant. It's Lake Crystal, and that drains right through our storm sewer system over into Palm de Terre River. Fun.
Excellent.
Any other questions on the city manager report? Okay, you mentioned snow. Blaine, we're going to try to widen the streets. We're not going to tow and ticket. It's not really a snow.
No, I think we're just asking people to come off. It's not a snow alert. I don't know if you guys talked about that at all today. I think we're just asking people to get off the road.
Yeah.
I know they were doing it last week. And they didn't tow anybody because the car that was in front of my house is still there, and so is all of the snow. So I'm very excited about the warning and the review.
Yeah.
Well, have they talked about what section of the city they're going to do? Are they going to?
I think they're going to try to do everything. They're going to come out at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Not in one night. They're going to do it all week, right?
Well, whatever they can get to, but
It'd be nice to know where they're starting. So I mean, if people.
yeah, I don't know if they.
Because I mean, if they're not.
I don't know if they want to try to designate an area. It just depends on how it goes. I mean, I've had a number of people call me, being upset about snow in their driveway and, trying to clear the snow out of the corner, crosswalks and stuff like that. And people, you have to do the best you can. But, I know in my neighborhood, it's really narrow. And so in order to get the snow up over the boulevard, they have to get the plow speed going, and it fills in our sidewalk, and that is not an easy thing to get out of the sidewalk. Your snow blower's probably not going to do it, so you almost have to hand shovel it. But it's just the boulevards are getting really tall now.
Yeah, you received the same call I did from somebody that has that problem. Rolling up over the top and onto the sidewalk. So.
Yep.
And by the time it rolls, it's a clump, and it won't go through the snow floor.
Yeah, it won't.
No.
It's usually ice.
Well, we live in Minnesota, and we can only hope for July.
Like I said, they're doing the best that they can to try to keep up with this, and I haven't even looked at our budget, but I would imagine, because this actually started right before Christmas. This series of snowstorms that we started getting started right before Christmas and continuing on.
Are we running out of room where we're putting our snow?
I don't think they're totally out of room. You know, we go to the fairgrounds, we go out to out north of town by McDonald's. There's some big.
That's full.
There's big piles.
I think they're putting some
Probably
by.
be there for a long time.
I think they're putting some by Grandstay now. I think.
Yeah, the good part was, you know, the one winter we had such a problem because it was warm, and then we got snow, and then the ground wasn't even frozen, so they literally could not get into the area where they're dumping snow because
Right.
it was too warm, and
Soft.
they're sinking in. We don't have that problem now. It's pretty solid out there.
Okay, we have informational items. Progress report from the water treatment facility. Coming along. Must have plenty of money because they didn't turn in a bill this time. So. And then this is pretty cool. This UMM sustainability report. Morris Campus leads nation in sustainability. That's pretty cool.
Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. No small part to the people in this room either, for sure. Airport master plan update, 7 o'clock tonight. Any other business to come before the council? Meeting adjourned.
And Mike missed it. They're like, should we all come? I go, I don't think there's going to be a problem. If anybody wants to go out and look at that bowl, you can.
Yeah,
Otherwise, what we're going to do is we're actually going to use it as an education tool. So, you know, people will be able to go take it for a drive, you know, when we have that. Actually, I came up with the idea that when we have that movie, we should invite anybody in town that has an electric vehicle
To
have
bring
an
'em.
electric car show.
yeah. Oh, great idea.
Yeah, because there's people
Yeah,
that-
I'm sure you had heard about that movie, but I thought that was pretty cool. That's why I forwarded
Which one
it.
was that?
Happening, April 27th.
I knew we were going to do one, but I don't know. I
Okay.
haven't heard about
Well,
that.
I sent you an email about it.
Oh, yeah. Plenty of time.
Can't sit around and go through a lunch hour.
What's this? Stacy gets a big raise. What?
Yeah.
You snuck that in?
I know, right?
Good for you, huh? Whatever it takes.
Perfect.